Now I feel it. Now I feel it. Your demons drag me close to hell. I can feel them. I can feel them pull. You won't ever let me leave you. You make these nightmares come true. My heart is in the ground. You fucked me up.
Years are passing by and all I think about is when we were new school. Flipping off police, drinking beers underage in a swimming pool. But times have changed and we're old now. I think our heat's getting cold now. And now I'm just in love with your cold shoulder.
Cause we fight and then we make love. We break up and then we 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. Love it when we hate fuck.
Nobody can change us. I cannot fall asleep without you by my side, but when you're here I'm all cold. Yeah, we got something special, but I cannot be the main act in a role. Tell me what you gonna do when they catch us, when they pull out big guns and they blast us. The final end to our mad love. Cause we fight and then we make love. We break up and then we 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. When we dance and then we fall hit the speed and then we slow down. 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. And then we make love. We break up and then we 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us. When we dance and then we fall hit the speed and then we slow down. 2 o'clock and now we're day drunk. Love it when we hate fuck. Nobody can change us.
What is up, LvLUp Nation, and welcome to the Thursday, March 4th edition of LvLUp Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco, you can call me Jon, and that dude bobbing his head along with that amazing music is the king of the courtside. You may call him Joey, though. What's up, buddy?
Jon, life has been busy. We've been working extra hard, but you can't just work too much without any play, as they say. So we have been playing some games too. I know we talked a little bit about Fallen Order last week. Now you've dove into a new Star Wars game, or less an older Star Wars game that you're back renewing your interest in.
Yeah. So it's never good to overindulge in a game or a game series or any like one thing that you like, because you get burnt out. You know, you like put it to the side, you know, you come back to it later on. Yeah, and that's what happened with Star Wars: The Old Republic, the Star Wars MMO. Really diving into it, never really got past like level 25 prior to this go around, and now I'm like hardcore leveling. Like my main tune now is almost 40. So yeah, I'm experiencing different things in the game, plus tons of quality of life changes, Joey. So definitely something, if you've interested in a Star Wars MMO, you should probably check it out. All right.
It is a good one. No. I have to talk about.
I was trying to move on. I was trying to move on.
Please. This is a gaming podcast as well. Guys, I have had the Halo bug recently, so I have dove back into the Master Chief Collection. Super exciting stuff, actually, Jon. I really did not have high expectations when that first came out. I thought it was cool to put everything into one place, but now being mainly PC, I'm like, it's a port. I don't know how I'll like it. And then part of me is like, well, we should just wait for Infinite because it's coming out. But I've dove back into it, and I'm having so much fun, guys. So if you do have that one, it's on Game Pass for console and PC. Definitely worth taking a look at. I think it's like $40 on Steam as well. Lots of fun players on there. And then the other one, so I've been recommending single-player games to a lot of people recently. A Plague Tale is one I recently suggested to our friend Panicking Pat over there. Guys, I've went back to try to 100% it. I'm still working a little bit of the way. I'm almost there. I think I'm like 86 or 89. Highly recommend that game. It was under the radar in 2019. Like Control won Game of the Year that year. Star Wars Fallen Order was up there. Jedi Fallen Order. Highly recommend checking out A Plague Tale by Asobo Studio. Very deep, really strong familial themes, overcoming obstacles, different things like that. So again, it is on Game Pass as well for console and PC. It's typically on sales too on a lot of different platforms because it was a 2019 game. So if you guys are looking for a single player experience, highly recommend checking that one out as well.
It also kind of hits on current events too. It's a plague, right? There's a plague going on.
Yeah. The Black Death is what it's taking place.
The Black Death in Plague's Tale, mimicking COVID-19, it feels like, Joey. Or is it the other way around? Who knows? All right, Nation, make sure you follow the show here on Twitter and Facebook at LvLUp Live. That's at LvLUp Live. And while you're on Twitter, for more great, amazing game recommendations, make sure you give my buddy Joey a follow. You can find him at Courtside King. Follow myself as well at Fiasco on Twitter. If you're watching here live on Twitch, those are the handles below the mugshots you're currently staring at. If you listen to the podcast in the future, they'll be in the show notes for you below as well. And Nation, the podcast version of the show is always an option as well. Maybe you can't catch the live stream. Maybe you want to catch it tomorrow on Friday on your commute into work or on your way into school, because in school, learning is a thing going across the entire nation now. Everyone's still learning from home pretty much. So yeah, if you want to catch the podcast version of the show, LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And why not leave us a review too? Reviews on podcasts go a long way, not only helping grow the audience, but reach new listeners, but also providing us the feedback we need to make sure this show is what you, our viewers and listeners, want. And that's our number one goal here, is not just to bring you the best in gaming and esports news, but to make this show your own show that you enjoy watching twice or listening to also twice a week. So all reviews are appreciative. Joey, happy Friday Eve, buddy. What are we talking about today?
Jon, we have a couple acquisitions in the news. Nothing as big as last week, but a couple to touch on there. A few roster changes as well as some partnerships. Then from there, we're diving into a class action lawsuit with Epic Games involved. Again, it feels like Epic in these lawsuits is becoming a regular thing here and there. A few other things about a new studio, some PlayStation changes, some theorizing about a few different games with Battlefield 6 in particular, then diving into some League of Legends and wrapping things up with some good predictions.
All right, Joey, it is going to be a fantastic show. I got that feeling. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But before we can even dive into this show, Joey, it is time. It is time for the drink of choice. It is time for that time-honored tradition that aids us and assists us through the amazing show that is LvLUp Live. So, Joey, your beverage for today, the 4th of March in the year of 2021.
John, the 4th of March, I'm drinking some Woodford Reserve bourbon. A little bit of a pre-celebration tonight. I believe the deal for Microsoft and ZeniMax will be closing tomorrow, pending any craziness that needs to be edited or whatever later down the road. But I think it's going to close tomorrow, so it's a little pre-celebration drink tonight.
Of course, you're celebrating Xbox. Joey, I am drinking the traditional rum and Coke. Not a dark and stormy, just a straight up rum and Coke. Not, just something standard, delicious, not nutritious at all. Perfect mix, perfect ratio. Joey, we have our beverages, we have our topics. Let's waste no more time. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely. Kicking things off, we have Epic Games making a new acquisition, this time Fall Guys developer Mediatonic coming in. Overall, so most people know Mediatonic for Fall Guys. It's popular because of last summer. It became a big thing. Tim the Tatman trying to get his crown. You had a number of other things here and there, but Fall Guys really being the big game that stood out for Mediatonic. They do help as an assist studio as well, and I think people miss that. I think of like Splash Damage that Tencent ended up picking up in their Liu deal. So one of those studios overall that has assisted with multiple big projects. I don't know the exact ones that Mediatonic has helped with, but stuff like a Halo Infinite, for example, or The Last of Us. Some of these big title games usually have smaller studios come in to assist. Maybe they work on multiplayer, maybe they work on cleaning up graphics, but they do assist in certain ways. Mediatonic was one of those studios. So now Epic Games not only gets the really crazy hit of what Fall Guys was earlier in the year, I think it's fallen off a little bit since then, but I do see it coming back potentially with this deal if it can provide some more hype. Plus, you have it launching on, I believe, Xbox this summer, Nintendo Switch this summer, now Epic Games as well. So there's a little bit of hype here and there. One of the interesting things with this deal in particular, and not necessarily Mediatonic, but more on the Fall Guys side, Fall Guys is developed on Unity, John, which is Unreal Engine's real big rival, I would say, in a sense. Like if you look at the two big engines, Unity is one of those giant engines, Unreal Engine being the other one. Now Epic going out here, not picking up an Unreal person like we've seen from them in the past, typically looking toward those Unreal games. This time going something from their competitor with Unity coming in here. And I think it's a big win overall. Again, I don't think Fall Guys is going to be that end or be all platform changing game, kind of like we saw with Activision when they picked up Bungie and Destiny. There was a big influx of players from that move. I don't really see a big influx of players here from this move for Epic. But at the same point, you're picking up a developer that's well known throughout the industry. They've had some hits like Fall Guys. They've done a lot of work on big titles as far as coming into assist. And I think that's the bigger piece here. The fact that Mediatonic has had their hands in multiple different projects and can come on not only as an assist studio, but also doing their own IPs as well.
Yeah, it's going to be big. Epic Games, they're going on a spree. They're trying to collect as many games as possible. A lot of people thought like when Epic Games launched their own store to directly compete against Steam, that it wouldn't last long. Well, it's Epic Games. They're here to stay. They're acquiring major titles. Now the blockbuster game that was last year of 2020, like you said, Joey, with Tim the Tatman, Fall Guys being acquired by Epic Games, Mediatonic coming over. It's a big win for Mediatonic being backed by an Epic Games. Now it's a massive win for Epic Games. Fall Guys is still a massive title. A lot of popularity around that title. So, it may not bring the same kind of, the same amount of players as if this was like an exclusive deal when it first launched, kind of like what we saw with PlayStation when it was only available on PlayStation for a certain amount of time before it opened up to other consoles. It's not going to be that big, sexy pull of players, but it's still a major name that's going to turn some heads and bring more attention to Epic Games and the Epic Games store. So I think it's a massive, massive win for Epic Games.
Absolutely. But John, I have to say I'm a little disappointed, not necessarily with this Epic deal, but with what you just did in the chat. You banned my two new friends. They were offering me ways to become famous by followers, primes, and all different other good things. I was kind of looking forward to clicking one of those suspicious links.
I don't do bots. Bots are not cool. The only bots that should be around are in Fortnite. I take that back. Bots should not even be in Fortnite. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have to kill fake AI to feel good about playing Fortnite. I'm sorry. Just get good. Sorry.
Get good. Well, goodbye, bots. Live viewers, you're welcome to stick around for a little while here. Podcast listeners later in the line, sorry that you missed the opportunity to become famous here in chat tonight. But another interesting bit in the news, John. Zynga, mobile games maker out there. They got the nice little dog logo. Not quite the Target dog, but, it's kind of that dog theme. They've acquired Ectra Games. I believe it's how it's pronounced. ECHTRA, Ectra, I believe. Torchlight 3 is the game they're most known for. So the big thing here is Zynga is going to have them help with other IPs as well as develop their own. In particular, Zynga is trying to move from just being a mobile developer to branching out and being PC games as well as console games too, which is huge. I mean, we've seen a lot of these mobile developers get picked up the last couple of years. They've been acquired by different companies. I believe Facebook and Zynga, I don't know if it was an acquisition or if it was something at one point, if it fell through or if it was a lot of money that Facebook was giving them. I don't remember, but there was some kind of deal between those two at one point. It looks like Zynga is looking to expand on their own here, though, coming out looking to branch past just the phone and tablet platform, bring things to other platforms. In addition to that, Extra's first project here will be to collaborate with another Zynga studio, and that's Natural Motion, and they'll be working on an unannounced cross-platform RPG there. Again, John, I think this is another good acquisition in a day and age where we're going to see more of these come up. On the scale of big ones like a Bethesda ZeniMax that we see Microsoft acquiring, to some smaller ones like maybe we see Bluepoint go to PlayStation later down the road. I think as more of these acquisitions become a thing, we're going to see more of these little small guys get picked up too, and Zynga doing a move here, picking up someone popular with Torchlight 3 and kind of making them their own early on.
Hey, Joey, I'm going to be honest with you. Anytime I hear Zynga, I get a little like borderline PTSD coming back.
Is it like Words with Friends?
No, it's like Farmville. It's Farmville.
Oh, yeah, that was them too, wasn't it?
And South Park even did an episode on Farmville. I think the episode, it was like season 14, You Have Zero Friends or something like that. And it's like this outcast kid in school had no friends on Facebook, and he was upset because like his farm, no one would come water his farm. No one would come help plant his seeds. And do you remember the rage that was Farmville, Joey, on Facebook and then on mobile and everything? I know people who still play it to this day.
Oh, do I? Yeah.
Did you ever partake in Farmville?
I never partaken. I never touched Farmville. I was moving crops in other games, but not that one. I don't know. It never really caught on to me.
That's
I like the idea of, I don't know, what do you call those type of games? You have to constantly check them and stuff.
Annoying.
Annoying
is what you call them.
I like mobile games with more strategy to them. I'm okay with a grind here and there, but I don't want to be picking corn and peas every 90 minutes or whatever. No, thank you. Not my type of thing. I never really got into Farmville, but I know a ton of people who did, and I hated receiving those freaking notifications. Help your friend get their crops a little quicker or whatever. Click on this and answer this survey. No.
Joey, I just need you to help pick my corn, please. I have a bushel of corn that I need to take to the market. I have a 500 Farmville coin bonus if you do this for me right now, because I'm out of energy. I can't do it myself. I have to wait. If I wait too long, I'm going to miss out on that bonus.
I would much rather help you shuck corn in person than I would go and mess with your virtual farm over there, sir.
All good.
Good old Farmville. For me, it's Words with Friends. That's the one I'm always thinking of. In college, and I don't think it was a big thing in high school, but I feel like early on in college, Words with Friends was a big thing. So going ahead and doing little puzzles with people, and then I'm going to class, but see if you can beat my word that I found and guessed was hopefully a word in the dictionary. It was all about using those Z's, and you never knew all that many Z words. But how can I throw these letters together and keep clicking submit until one gets taken?
All right, Joey, I'm going to start. Zebra.
What? We're not playing Words with Friends
Zebra.
virtual here.
Go, zebra.
What's wrong with zebra?
I need you to pick another Z word.
Za is one, I'm pretty sure. Z-A. I had to use that one a lot.
Here you go. Here's his...
Okay, Dallas Cowboys over there. I hear you. But yeah, so that's enough Zynga for now. I think it's a good move. Again, Extra coming in. They're going to be able to help out some other projects. They're working already on this unannounced cross-platform RPG. Again, I don't have high expectations for these first couple games because it is moving from that mobile game maker to something that gets a little bit more serious with consoles and PC. But at the same point, definitely one to look forward to. Zynga has been doing quite well on the market. Their shares have been going up. Their user engagement has been going up. I believe their overall player count has been going up. So they're definitely one to watch, at least in the mobile game circuit. It will be interesting to see how that does eventually possibly translate over to these other platforms to maybe some success. But again, lots of question marks as of right now. Over to CSGO, we have G2 Esports making a move on their CSGO roster. Jax will be returning to the main roster. Nico will be making a transition over to the hybrid rifler op role. So depending on the situation, they might throw him on that AWP. Other situations, they're going to keep him on that rifle. And then Kenny S, a core of G2 for quite a while now, will be allowed to explore other options. So again, G2 going through a little bit of, let's say, tournament turmoil. They haven't really had as many high placements as they've been expecting. Maybe it's something going on in the roster. Maybe it just seems to be a thing in CSGO where you have to change a person up every now and then to get kind of a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of legs, a fresh set of virtual gun handling. And it looks like that is what is going on here with Jax returning.
You know, this is something I've noticed over the years, Joey. It feels like every week or every other week, there's constantly CSGO roster moves. It feels like it is one of the most fluid games or esports scenes when it comes to rosters. It's like, you know, one of the biggest fears if you're a traditional sports fan is if you go out and buy a jersey of a player that they're going to get traded or they're not going to re-sign. You know, some people do their research and go, oh, he's here for 8 years and has a no trade clause. I'm going to buy his jersey. It's a safe investment. Can you imagine it with esports? Like if you're sitting here, you're a CSGO fan, you're like, oh, I like this player. I'm going to go buy his G2 jersey. Who knows? Like after the next tournament, he may not be with the team anymore. And it's not, I'm not just knocking G2. I'm just talking about the scene in general. It just feels like the CSGO scene is, instead of working to build chemistry and team camaraderie and working together, it just feels like they want to find a quick solution to everything. And so it really kind of, you have to ask yourself that question. Is that constant roster turnover the way to go for CSGO for a quick win now kind of thing? Or should they focus like how other teams have done it, where you have a roster and you grow, you learn, and you build that chemistry with that roster. And if it doesn't work, let's say after a year, then you kind of blow it up and try it again.
It's an interesting one. Like, obviously, I follow Fnatic. If you guys don't see the flag there in the background, and podcast listeners probably can't see it on their virtual audio edition.
If they could.
But it is one of those things that I'm like, okay, I get it. I mean, Fnatic in particular, they changed out their main roster like 4 times, I think, over the last couple of years. And then we eventually see them coming back to a roster they actually fielded 2 or 3 years ago. So again, it's one of those things where maybe players need to experience a new environment. Maybe the organization needs to change things up a little bit. And I agree. I'm much more for that mindset of let's work through it. How can we continue to improve as a core group? But not everyone is. Sometimes you have that guy who knows he's only going to be within the scene for a couple of years. With sports, you have a little bit more longevity. Your body can last longer potentially. With esports, it's so really heavy based on mechanics and just quick wrist flicks in CSGO in particular, that your mechanics are going to move down as you age. And it's not necessarily a big window when it comes to being a pro. So I think one of the things from the pro perspective is how can we win now? How can we continue to improve? But also from the Fnatic or the G2 or whoever else fielding a CSGO team, these pros only have a certain number of years. And if we have this young all-star in whoever, maybe we need to bring in another veteran piece, or maybe we need to find some more young talent to build around him for a future roster instead of waiting around. So I get where you're coming from. And I think it's a really good point, especially from the fan perspective of buying jerseys, of following players. But from the org perspective and the player perspective, I think that limited time window for them to really be a pro in their, I guess, before they plateau throughout the rest of their career, it's one of those things that kind of is heightened in the time-wise as well. Me in particular, I do not buy names on the back of my jerseys. I buy either my own custom name, which is a little bit more pricey, or I go with no name at all for that exact reason, John. Looking a few years back, I considered buying a Reckless jersey, and I do still love me some Reckless, but he has moved on. Even a legendary player like that who played with an org for, I think Reckless was there for like 7 or 8 years, has decided to move on to another organization. So even then, even those veteran players who feel like they've been around forever, Perks with G2 is another one moving to C9. You never know if they could move on. So it's always a risk.
Yeah, I wish we took our own advice there when we bought our Overwatch League jerseys.
Hey, hey, at least my player retired.
My player retired from Overwatch also and now plays Valorant.
So we're good. We both retired from Overwatch. So they stayed with the Washington Justice. We didn't have to worry about them going to another team.
This is true.
Oh, pluses and minuses, pluses and minuses. But yes, we do see Kenny S here exploring options. I don't think he makes his way to the Washington Justice to fill Corey spot over there at DPS, but I do think we'll see him on a CSGO team here in the near future. Over to partnerships and investments. Samsung QLED becomes the official TV partner of the Xbox Series X in the US and Canada. John, this is one of the most specific partnerships I have ever seen. Not Samsung. Samsung QLED has become the official TV partner of not just Xbox, but of the Xbox Series X. And then in particular, not in every country, but just the US and Canada. So there are 3 parts to break down here. Overall, I'm not surprised by this at all. I believe it's Microsoft. And again, this is specific, so who knows? But I want to say Microsoft actually has a partnership with Samsung already as an overarching partnership, especially for expansion in Asia with the Xbox consoles being launched there in xCloud and all that good stuff. Now, this one in particular is driving it home just a little bit more, making that more not really exclusive, but really detailed partnership of this particular TV type of model with this particular console type of model in these particular countries.
I mean, if you're Microsoft, you have the lot. You can pick anyone because at the end of the day, PlayStation, owned by Sony, can't sit there and be like, oh, Samsung, the official TV. No, Sony has their own TVs. And, you know, it cracks me up because, like, PlayStation does the same thing. Like, I just upgraded my TV during last Amazon Prime Day. It's a Sony. It's a Sony X900 series. And it's literally marketed as next generation console ready, next generation console specific. This is the TV you want if you have a PlayStation 5. So they kind of have to keep it all in house. If you're Microsoft, why not? Why not make it as specific as this? I think the Series X exclusivity is a little weird.
It's
but
obnoxious.
You know, poor Xbox Series S owners out there. Like, you're sitting who's like, I need a new TV, but I can't have a Samsung QLED. It's only for the Series X. I feel bad. You know, I just find that's the only part that bugs me. The partnership itself doesn't bug me. The fact it's only limited to the US and Canada doesn't really bug me. But the fact that it's only for the Series X is just like, why? That part I just don't get.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and this could be the same case here, but when they generally do these partnerships with the Xbox Series X, it does include the S as well. But for wording's sake, because you're looking at that high dollar console, your Xbox Series X is kind of the one that's typically marketed everywhere. So on game cases, like if a game like Far Cry 6 is coming to Xbox consoles, you're going to see the X, you're going to see the S. Now in the tweet, it might just say Xbox Series X. It might just say Xbox Series. You never know. People take it differently, but from Xbox in particular, you're typically going to see that X and then the line with the S. But yeah, I think this TV is going to be great. I think it's an awesome partner to have. Again, already having that pre-established partnership with Microsoft and Samsung with that focus on Asia and expanding cloud development over there, this seems to fit right in line. I kind of want to theorize a bit here. I think some features we may see, again, I don't think it's going to get to the level of like an AMD or a NVIDIA with like, what is it, G-Sync and V-Sync maybe are the two. I don't think we ever get to that level in this console generation, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are some little features that get implemented to better use Xbox technology with those TVs. And the other thing, and again, I think we're a little farther off on this as well. We've talked about it before. I think eventually we see xCloud coming to TVs too, whether it be a smart TV app, whether it be a little box like a Roku or Apple TV. Maybe Samsung gets that app first here with this deal as well.
I don't know, Joe. Maybe Microsoft is thinking that if you can afford a Series X, you can afford a Samsung QLED. Maybe if you can only afford the budget Series S, you can only afford a budget TCL TV. You know, who knows? Maybe we see an exclusive TCL deal for the Series S also.
That would be funny, wouldn't it? That would be
that would be bad. I think that would take a turn for the worst if they did.
Yeah, that would probably be a little rough. But hey, TLC is not a bad TV. TLC is it TLC? TCL. I knew it sounded wrong. TLC we like too, though. Tender Love and Care. You know, hey,
it's also a TV
welcome
network.
To my house, Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's really interesting to do this. And again, I think it's probably more of a wording thing than anything here. I don't necessarily think they just meant the X version of the console, but who knows? Overall, I think extending this partnership with Samsung to another level is a good move by Microsoft and Xbox. Oakley has signed a Call of Duty League star, Seth Scump Abner, as their new first esport athlete. Again, John, not too many particular details on this one, but the fact that we see once again another, I would call them like a tier one company, another one of those companies with a more expensive product that's very popular out there. Not necessarily a Louis Vuitton level, but it is one of those products that's pretty well known worldwide. Oakley with sunglasses is their main product. Now coming out, picking up an esport athlete. I believe Patrick Mahomes is already under them for the NFL. So you can kind of get the idea of what level of athletes they have typically signed. Now bringing on someone from esports and a star in and of himself in Scump. I think it's another good move of another brand making their way to esports, and doing it with a player like Scump is going to be a good move for Oakley.
Yeah, and Oakley's not afraid to make a splash into an area that might be seen as like, unexplored territory, if you will. Oakley's really involved in the surfing scene, the extreme game scene when it comes to like snowboarding, skiing, skateboarding. They're a big sponsor of ESPN's X Games. So, I mean, it's not a surprise that Oakley is making a dive into esports. I absolutely love this signing. Oakley, like you said, Joey, I consider them a tier 1 company also. They're absolutely great. I used to love wearing Oakleys back in high school. I would save up like my entire summer paycheck when I was working at the baseball stadium to get myself a new pair of Oakleys. But eventually I stopped because I always ended up losing them. But yeah, I mean, Oakleys are a great product. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They kind of have that swag that go with it when you see someone rocking that Oakley logo, like kind of thing. So I like this. I like that they're getting involved in esports. Like they're kind of expanding their brand into that. And I'm kind of curious to see what would be the next step for Oakley. They also have an apparel line. Maybe they look into expanding into esports apparel, like we've seen a lot of organizations and other clothing lines do. Who knows? But this is a good first step for Oakley.
Absolutely. And another one of those big organizations making that first step into esports is huge for esports as well. So a big one to watch there. Again, Oakley signing Call of Duty League star Scump as their first esports athlete. Over to our last partnership of the day is Fnatic and LvLUp. They have renewed their partnership. It's going to be a 1-year deal here, focusing on Fnatic's Dota 2 team. If you guys have not followed too much of LvLUp, they're a global online gaming entertainment service. So similar to something, not necessarily streaming in particular, but gaming entertainment. So they kind of fall a little bit in line with that Netflix versus that Twitch approach, a little bit in between both of those. So one to keep an eye on there. Again, not a huge deal, but it is a renewed deal. And anytime a renewed deal happens in esports, it's a big win for esports, and in particular for Fnatic's Dota 2 team here. Over to a little bit more spicy news, John. I don't think we need to cover this for a ton of time, but it is worth mentioning. There is a class action lawsuit going up against Epic Games for those who purchase and exchange in-game currency to acquire a Loot Llama loot box in Fortnite or a crate in Rocket League between the dates of July 2015 and February 2021. So this one's going around. It was filed in North Carolina. It's already been settled, so there are a few things detailed-wise here. Epic Games has agreed to automatically add 1,000 Fortnite V-Bucks to each Fortnite account that purchased a Loot Llama loot box, which is a tongue twister in and of itself, fun fact, and 1,000 Rocket League credits for Rocket League players who purchased a crate between those dates. Additionally, Epic has agreed to make $26 million available to pay individuals with approved claims as well, who do submit seeking compensation. Each of those individuals is entitled to up to $50 or $13,500 V-Bucks or 13,000 Rocket League credits. You can add real friend Panicking Pat sent it over for today's show. But looking into it more, it was actually an approved claim. It was submitted. It did go through the legal system. So to our knowledge, again, you guys make your own choices out there. But based on my research, it does look like this is a real thing. Again, do your own research. But this does seem to be a thing, and it seems to have been approved by the court, and Epic has seemed to agree to it as well.
Yeah, I should log on to my Rocket League account to see if it's
if you got the V-Bucks.
Yeah, so I got the V-Bucks.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Let's be honest. If you know anything about me, I'm a sucker for microtransactions and loot boxes. So there you go. Probably have it in there. I'll have to check for you after the show.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever bought one. I know I did not buy a Loot Llama loot box.
I did not do a Loot Llama loot box.
Yeah, I did not get that. I don't know about Rocket League, though. What did I say? 2015? So that's like 4 or 5. That's 5-6 years? Jeez.
Yeah.
I probably bought one within that time, but who knows? John definitely has, so we'll report back on that once he has a chance to check it. But if you guys are interested, I believe it got sent via email. If not, epiclootboxsettlement.com seems to be the place to be. Again, please do your research, double check it. It seems to be legit from my end, but it is something to look into before submitting your stuff anywhere. This one's fun, John. I'm kind of excited for this. I really don't know what to expect yet, but a group of Riot Games, Blizzard, Valve, and Bungie veterans have come together and raised nearly $40 million to launch a new studio, Theorycraft Games. NetEase did lead the funding round here. That's about all we know at this point. This is something we've seen throughout the industry. We've seen a lot of Blizzard vets leave the main company of Activision Blizzard and make their own studios. I think it's been 3 or 4 within the last couple of years. Riot Games, I believe it's 2 or 3 groups that have left there as well to make their own studios. So some interesting stuff could be inbound from them in the future years. Valve is huge in and of itself, Bungie as well. So I'm not surprised to see movement on those ends either. But now you have 4 major groups, Riot Games, Blizzard, Valve, and Bungie, bringing veterans together for this new studio, Theorycraft, which is a cool name to begin with. I'm super excited to hear what kind of game they're developing here as well.
Yeah, like you can't even take a wild guess at what kind of game they're developing. There's just so much talent that's possibly in this Theorycraft Games group. I mean, you're pulling from some of the biggest names in the gaming industry and putting some of the brightest minds together. I can't imagine. I'm excited to see what happens. It's something that we're definitely going to be following here on LvLUp. And you know, it's definitely something we'll be looking out for in the future. It's going to be exciting to see what can possibly come out of this studio with talent from all of these amazing gaming companies coming together.
Absolutely. So go ahead, guys, fans, listeners, go ahead and start theory crafting what kind of game we could see from the studio. Again, as John said, Riot Games, Blizzard, Valve, Bungie, you have everything in here. League of Legends is a MOBA. Valve has MOBA action as well. You have CSGO as a shooter. Blizzard, you have a looter in Diablo. Overwatch as a first-person shooter, et cetera, et cetera. There's just so much variety between these studios and these particular developers that you really don't know what's going to come out of the studio, or if it's one game, if it's multiple games. $40 million to launch it is not a bad place to start at all. So we will keep an eye on Theorycraft Games, but for now, we got to go to something that I think is silly. John, I believe, thinks is silly, and this is PlayStation discontinuing movie and TV purchases and rentals via the PlayStation Store. Now, the part that we think is silly is not necessarily PlayStation making that move. I'm sure they made this move based on data. They're probably not selling or renting or having a bunch of rentals for these TV shows, for these particular movies. I get it. A lot of people nowadays are using Netflix if they want to rent things or get shows. If you're actually going to pure up rent a movie or TV show, Amazon seems to be the place to be. Some other people use Microsoft here and there. Google is another one that's popular with the Play Store. But one that doesn't come up is the PlayStation Store. And it's the same thing with the Xbox Store for the most part as well. If Nintendo Switch had a store, I think it would probably be the same thing there. The big issue here, guys, is that Twitter freaked out. Social media freaked out. Everyone's like, PlayStation, why are you taking this away? How are we going to get our movies? How are we going to rent things? You guys weren't doing it in the first place. They're not going to remove something if people are actually using it actively. If John Doe over here wants to rent his movie every Friday night, I think he can find a new platform. But if the majority of people are not renting or buying movies on PlayStation, I think that's why you see a move like this from Sony. I'm sure it's data backed. I'm sure there is no reason for people to freak out, and Amazon or Google or whoever will welcome them with open arms for their rentals and buying movies.
You know, Joe, we were joking about this earlier in the week when this move happened. Yeah, I agree full-heartedly. Like, PlayStation would not remove this if it was actually being used. The outrage, I think, is ridiculous from anybody. Joey, I'm going to be completely honest. I even forgot this was a feature on PlayStation for the longest time. I remember, like PlayStation 2 when they added it, being the first console connected to the internet pretty much in the PlayStation series there. So, yeah, this is not a big loss. This just makes sense from a business standpoint. And seriously, if you are upset that you can't rent your movie from the PlayStation Store, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't. Because for $4.99 or $5.99, you can get Hulu, you can get Netflix, you can get Peacock, you can get whatever streaming service you want. Hey, everyone pretty much has an Amazon account. If you have Prime, guess what? You have Amazon Video Prime also. Enjoy. Like, I just don't understand why this is the thing people freaked out about the other day. Like, there's so many other things in the gaming world worth freaking out over. This is not even on the radar as being one. So please, everyone relax, calm down, and click on that Netflix or Amazon app you have right next to where the PlayStation Store used to be, and just be quiet and watch your movies and TV shows.
Well, and the PlayStation Store will still be there. Sony's obviously still
the
gonna have it
PlayStation
as
Video.
games.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. Like, I mean, it's just so obnoxious. Like you said, like where was this energy when games went up to $70 on the PlayStation platform? Where was it then? Where was it when Jim Ryan said he doesn't want to give games backwards compatibility? And then he eventually did anyway, with people not even speaking up about it. It's just one of those things that I feel like there are better fights to pick if you're a PlayStation fan or a PlayStation gamer. This in particular is just not one of them. The other thing that I brought up, and I could be wrong because I haven't been on a PlayStation in a couple years, is with Amazon, you're able to access it at a lot of different places. You can get your Prime videos. If you end up buying a movie or renting a movie, you can watch them on your tablet or on your phone or on your PC or on your Xbox or your PlayStation. If you buy in the PlayStation Store, I don't know if you have that availability that many other places as far as like accessibility for that particular rental.
I'm pretty sure you don't. I'm pretty sure it's limited to your account on your PS4 or 5 or 3 or 2 or whatever you had using it.
Yeah, see, that's I think another issue for me. Like, that would drive me crazy. Like, if I want to watch a movie or if I want to rent a movie, I want to be able to, especially buying it. Renting it is not as much of an issue. You're probably going to rent on whatever platform you do and watch it there. But if I'm going to buy, like, let's say the Harry Potter collection or Lord of the Rings or whatever, one of these epic movie collections, I want to be able to take it with me, whether it be on a laptop, a mobile device for like planes or trains. Maybe I want to go visit friends or whoever. Maybe we go away to a cabin in the woods for a week. That sounds sketch as hell. It sounds like a movie in and of itself.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, like, I want to be able to take it with me. Do I want to carry my PlayStation with me every one of these trips? Do I want to plug it in on the airplane to go ahead and watch my movie? No, not necessarily. But Amazon, I can pull it up on my phone. I can download the episode ahead of time. It just, I don't see that many people purchasing. And again, I think this is a data-backed move. I doubt if Sony is making tons of sales and all these people who are arguing about it are absolutely using it a ton. I just don't think that's the case. I think they made this decision after looking at data. I think the people on Twitter are just the vocal minority, let's call them. It seems to be a common thing here with PlayStation and Xbox, that vocal minority. But this is one of those moves that I really think is making more waves than it really needs to.
I just got this great image of Joey on an airplane and the pilot turns off that fasten seatbelt sign when you hit 10,000 feet. Well, not really off the fasten seatbelt sign, but you can recline your chair, drop your tray tables and everything. And then there's Joey reaching into his backpack and pulling out his PlayStation and plugging it into the TV in front of him. That tiny little screen in front of you back there in coach class. And he's like, I want to watch Harry Potter episode 4 or movie.
Does my
4.
voice change like that as well?
Yeah, why not? Why not? We all sound like gremlins on airplanes, right? So it's like I want to watch this. I can't watch on anything else other than my PlayStation. I'm so angry. Give me a break.
I could be wrong, but did they at one point have like a TV attachment that attached into the back of the PlayStation? I feel like I remember something like that for like car rides.
So they did for PlayStation 2. Okay. PlayStation 3 was so awkwardly shaped they couldn't do it. And PlayStation 4, I don't think they ever came out with one, but for PlayStation 2, they did have a car attachment. But also, how many cars had outlets or a cigarette lighter that was strong enough to power a PlayStation? It wasn't out there that, I mean, it was there, but it's not like every car had it. So it was a few and far between, but Joey on an airplane with the PlayStation 4. Let's go.
There you go. So if you guys have made purchases through the Sony Store, the PlayStation Store for movies, make sure to plug your PS units up on your airplanes or trains and go ahead and check those out on your limited availability. I'm sure none of our educated listeners have spent thousands of dollars buying movies through PlayStation. So I'm just going to hope that's the case and that they have looked to other platforms, or at least they do here in the near future. Sticking with Sony and moving a little bit to a different part here with trademarks and patents, a new Sony patent revealed a look at the new PSVR controller. John, I should have sent you a picture of this, but you can try to find one online. It includes a trigger button with resistance and haptic feedback, possible finger tracking via sensors like the Valve Index, and a small LED panel to replace the white orb on the original version as well. Has a few more features. So overall, guys, it looks like just a new VR controller, cleaner look than the original design, as is expected. Typically, when you see technology move from generation 1 to generation 2 and so on and so forth, you get those new features, you get those new looks, you get a little bit more of a crisper design. This one in particular, I think, follows suit here. And it is one of those things that as a new VR controller, when it eventually launches, again, Sony has confirmed not later this year, but it will be sometime in the future that the new PS5 VR will be eventually coming out. And I think this controller looks cool. Again, haptic feedback on the PS5 controller has been getting a lot of praise. The trigger resistance has been another thing that a lot of people have really liked using in particular games to take advantage of it. So I think moving forward with this new VR controller, it is one of those things that will be cool to continue to follow moving forward.
I don't think
that's the one.
No?
I don't think so. But overall, it's fine. We don't have to find it right now. I should have sent a picture. I don't know where it is at the moment. But we can go ahead and send one out on Twitter feeds or whatever later on for you guys if you cannot find it online. But overall, definitely something to look at. The other patent, though, from Sony, John, is a little bit more interesting to me. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on it if you haven't seen it yet. So it's been floating around just a little bit on social media, but Sony has filed a patent to turn other objects into controllers. The one in particular that's shown in the diagram is a banana, where they do place 2 buttons on each side of the banana to make it into a functioning PlayStation controller. What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like you want to just grab some fruit from the kitchen and turn it into your new controller?
Wait, we're talking about an actual banana, not like
we're talking about an actual banana,
not like a controller shaped like a banana.
No, I'm pretty sure this is an actual banana. I will find this diagram for you and put it somewhere.
I am having a hard time wrapping my mind around Sony being that dumb to wanting to make a real life fruit into a controller.
This is the VR thing too. You can show it on here too. I just posted a link in our notes. But yeah, John, so based on the diagram here, as you pull it up, they want to add, at least on this diagram, a X button and a triangle button.
A cross
and a triangle.
Thank you.
Whew, almost had everyone mad about that one. Onto this banana that they show here with a few different lines. Yeah, so this is a thing.
Okay, you know what? No pun intended. I'll bite. Okay, Joey. How do you connect the banana controller to the PlayStation 5? Do bananas grow with built-in Bluetooth wireless connection now? Is there something I don't know about how bananas are being grown? Are these like pesticides being used on the banana trees to create Bluetooth connectivity to connect a banana to a PlayStation 5?
I mean, not only that, but like, why? What is the purpose? This feels like a marketing stunt to me, to be honest. I feel like maybe they have a game that comes out that, I don't know, Donkey Kong's not going to release on PlayStation, but something involving monkeys that's PlayStation related. Is Super Monkey Ball PlayStation? Maybe. I don't remember who owns that right, but something monkey or banana or something related has got to be involved here. But yeah, again, like, where are your analog sticks going to go? Like, oh, you've officially fixed on 2 of the 4 main buttons on the right-hand side of the controller. So we're just missing 2 analog sticks, 4 triggers, maybe back paddles, depending what version of the controller you have. You don't have your little mic to blow in for the new games. Like, what? Why? It has to be marketing, right?
Microsoft is busy fine-tuning and doing great things with the adaptive controller, and Sony is literally playing with bananas in return. Damn it, Sony. What are you doing? This is so stupid. Oh my God. I'm so triggered over this. This is so dumb.
I mean, maybe it's a motion controller of some sort. Maybe this goes with their new VR patent. Like, you can throw the banana like a boomerang, but how does it come back to you? That's another good question. I really don't know. I don't know where this one's going. The best thing I can think of is like a flight stick. Like, maybe it becomes that flight stick for you that somehow attaches wirelessly via fruit powers to your PlayStation. Not really sure, but if you go ahead and scroll down, you can show off the VR controller at least too while we're here.
Why is that made out of a coconut? Let's find out.
This one is fruit free to my knowledge. It has a nice little side wrist strap, some nice little buttons and triggers and such. It actually looks like a really nice VR controller. Again, I don't really have much experience with VR. I've mentioned this multiple times. So take this with a grain of salt, but at least based on the look of the diagram, I think this looks pretty nice.
I do not accept this diagram. If this VR controller is not made out of 4 limes and a lemon, I don't want anything to do with it. Done. Done. Sony is going all fruit. Fruit Ninja is going to be the new sponsor for everything, Sony and PlayStation 5. I reject this controller. I reject this possible figures of the new VR controller. If it is not a stack of fruit with a little like twill rope around it, tying it together, I want nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with the fruit only for PlayStation going forward.
I mean, I'm in that situation. Do you remember like all the TVs where there's like the Wii remote getting thrown into TVs and that became like a huge thing on social media?
So good.
I'm just imagining pictures of people like posting splatter banana all over their like 4K TV screens.
I just broke my $2,000 90-inch flat screen TV my dad just brought home by throwing a PlayStation 5 banana controller through the middle of it and knocking it off the wall.
I'm very curious where this one goes. Like,
this is so dumb.
It's going to be an interesting one. One to keep an eye on, though, guys. Sony patenting new VR controllers and banana controllers coming to a household near you soon. Or maybe it's already in your fruit basket. You just have to attach your buttons. We'll have to wait and see on that one, though. Bungie has trademarked BungieCon. Not to dive too much into this, but John, if you ask me, this is probably going to be some kind of con. I don't know if it'll be in person, given all the COVID-19 stuff still going around. Vaccinations are becoming more and more prevalent, but again, it is one of those things that's going to take some time. So I think this will probably be an online event similar to what we saw with BlizzCon Online. I think that's going to be the approach here, and it'll probably be heavily Destiny focused. I do know Bungie's working on at least one new IP outside of Destiny, which we could see something like that be shown, maybe an early talk or an early trailer. I think it's probably still a couple of years away in development. Maybe we get the next expansion for Destiny shown here, but something Bungie related as far as their games and IPs seems to at least be in the works here. I would guess this is spring or fall, maybe a summer event as well with everything going on with Summer Games Fest. This could fit into that mix too.
BungieCon. Are you telling me, Joey, that BungieCon is going to be a convention for the gaming studio Bungie? Cool.
That's what I'm guessing, John, from this trademark.
Would have never guessed that from the name. I would have thought something like a fruit emporium for soon to be PS5 controllers.
Maybe that's what they're going to announce at BungieCon. You can now play Destiny 2 with a banana.
I am so triggered over this damn banana controller. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I thought you'd have fun with that one. This next one is unexpected as well as an unexpected reveal of Aliens Fireteam by Cold Iron. Not quite a banana controller, but it does look pretty interesting. John, if you just want to go ahead and pull up their website, just type like Aliens Fireteam into Google and let the video play in the background there. It's going to be a next-gen cooperative third-person survival shooter. That is a mouthful. Cooperative third-person survival shooter. It's going to be inspired by the Alien franchise and will be coming to Xbox and PlayStation consoles, as well as to PC via Steam later this summer. I like the idea of this, to be honest. Like, I'm not one of those people that's out there like, ooh, I need an Alien game. I really need to play something Alien-based. But overall, I like the idea of a co-op third-person survival shooter, kind of like your Left 4 Dead in a sense. One of those games that you're kind of surviving. You have the co-op aspect, so you hear someone scream over here, or someone's got someone coming in a gate over here. How do you react as a team? How do you adjust? How do you build the base? How do you move forward within the level? It seems like one of those kind of aspects as well. Oh, you got to put your birthday. You don't have to do that right now, then.
Well, no, Joey, the show's not old enough.
Oh, rep. Sorry, LvLUp. Go ahead and pick a little older of a show. Let's assume we started in the 80s or 90s.
1934.
Okay.
We're in.
Probably unreliable.
There we go.
Wow, that's an okay boomer moment. But yeah, just let this thing play in the background. It looks interesting to me, John. I like the idea of this. Again, I enjoyed Left 4 Dead. I thought it was a great party game to get together with a few people, play some co-op, whether in person or online. It's one of those fun experiences to get together, especially anything like with thrill or survival aspects. I think people can really group up and have a good time together. This one being with that alien aspect gives it a little bit more of a fan base to kind of kick things off with as well. So I'm excited for this. I don't know if it's going to be like a day one buy for me, but it is one of those things that is kind of like an unknown surprise in a year where it feels like so many games are getting delayed. And that is that. So we'll see what John thinks about Aliens and his banana controller playing with him later down the road. One more announcement before we jump into a few game leaks and then some League of Legends action. And this is a slew of sports games are headed to Xbox Game Pass. NBA 2K21 dropped today for console and cloud gamers. On top of that, for console gamers, you were also getting Madden 21, Football Manager 2021, Star Wars Squadrons, not really sport related, but that is coming later in this month, and they included it for some reason in the sport titles. And then NHL 21 will be dropping next month in April as well. Then for the PC owners, you have a lot lighter slate coming your way, but you do get Football Manager 21, a very popular soccer game out there. So overall, John, I think the bigger story here is not all these games dropping on a Game Pass, because that happens every week or 2 weeks anyway. But for me, it's the fact these sports games are dropping earlier than expected. Madden usually drops about a month later than this. NBA 2K, I feel like, doesn't drop until later in the summer typically. Maybe right around June is when you see it drop, so a few months earlier on that as well. Football Manager 2021 is the first time I believe it is coming to Xbox ever. It never really comes to consoles, so this is a brand new version of that. And then Star Wars Squadrons, I think, is just your basic EA Play Edition after it came out in November.
Yeah, I think this is a big win for sports title fans. It does feel like that the current version of these games, it almost feels like they're coming out like a lot earlier in some cases. Like the NBA and NHL season isn't that old. Like these games usually come out a month or two before the season starts. Or maybe like a couple weeks before, a couple weeks after the season starts. And they're coming out onto a Game Pass right now. That's a big win. It's a big loss if you already purchased these titles and you have the Game Pass and you weren't paying attention. But I think this is a massive, massive win. As someone who used to play Madden every year, I stopped playing Madden probably around like Madden 15. Just because it was essentially the same game. Like it stopped becoming new, and I was like, okay, I'll buy it maybe in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. And I just stopped playing it. Now this gives me a reason, if I had an Xbox and Game Pass, to dive into Madden 21 and see if Madden has kind of reinvented itself after 6 years of not playing it. From what I hear, not so much. So, I think it's good to reintroduce people back into these gaming franchises. For these sports titles. I just think I think that's the big story, is how early they were brought to the Game Pass in this current gaming cycle.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I think this is something you start to drop even earlier if you're a sports game maker, like an EA, for example. Like the bulk of your people buying your Madden franchise, your FIFA franchise, your NBA 2K franchise are all going to end up buying in the fall when the game initially comes out. If you're a hyped up sports fan, you're going to get the game every single year. You're going to buy it within a couple weeks of it coming out. Or maybe let's say you wait for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever the holiday is. That's fine. So maybe you wait until after the holiday to put these on Game Pass. By the end of January, I think you just drop them. That'll give you more players to play with. It'll give you more ability to possibly hook people into the franchise. Like, I think after that mid-January point, no one is really buying sports games unless they're on a major sale or they're dropping on some kind of subscription platform. So overall, I think this is a win. I think we see a move even earlier next year potentially, but it is going to be a good move to reintroduce us, as you said, John, to those gamers who might not pick up the title every single year. So we'll keep an eye on that one, guys. But again, if you're an Xbox player in particular, you just got a ton of new sports games to try out, as well as Star Wars Squadrons getting mixed in there later in the month as well. Over to some game updates, leaks, etc. Battlefield 6 is one we've been meaning to touch on for a couple weeks. So briefly hitting on that at the top and then some new information on that as well. We have reason to believe that a Battlefield 6 reveal trailer will be dropping on March 23rd. So a couple weeks from now, so keep it on your radar. We've known this for a little while now, and now we have nailed down that date in particular based on a couple teasers that came out. The most recent clue being a Phase 3 now active video that popped up on a YouTube channel. Or actually the YouTube channel is named Phase 3 Now Active, with a video scheduled to drop on March 23rd on it. Additionally, the channel has a number 6 on the profile picture and a Battlefield site linked to it as well. So putting all those clues together, the number 6, Battlefield, we know it's Battlefield 6 coming out. Then you have this teaser for March 23rd, Phase 3. It all comes together. Check out that Battlefield trailer when it does eventually drop on March 23rd, or whatever kind of teaser they give us next. Additionally, Need for Speed has been delayed, and Criterion, the developer behind that, has been moved to assist DICE as well with getting Battlefield out. Again, in a year where we've seen tons of delays, we saw a lot last year, and we saw the fiasco, no pun intended, maybe a little bit of pun intended, it is me over here, with Cyberpunk and all the bugs that came out with that delay and still coming out, even after those delays with issues. It seems like EA is being proactive on this one, saying, hey, Criterion, let's delay your game so we make sure we get at least one big game out this year. We're going to do that with Battlefield 6 here. So they will be assisting DICE for, I believe it's like 7 to 9 months left that we see. I think it's scheduled for like a November, December release, if I remember correctly. So I think it is a smart move there from EA. Again, EA is one of those companies that we have talked about making questionable moves here and there. They did just recently cut Anthem. They cut a few other games as well, and they've reorganized a few projects. Of the moves to look at, I think this is one to praise EA on. It is a bummer for Need for Speed fans, but overall, I think this is a good move to ensure you at least get one of those blockbuster titles out later this year. Last but not least, we got a few other teasers on this one, John, and I'm curious to get your thoughts. Supposedly, the game will be taking place in Kazakhstan, so you can play as Borat. He's a playable character. I'm kidding. But supposedly, supposedly, this is going to be where we do see the next Battlefield taking place, kind of over there in the Middle Eastern area. And I don't know if the full game will take place there, but at least we will see one map, or at least the mainline story will be placed in this area, if these teasers are to be believed. And I believe it was something funky, like they found in the EA showcase. They found like a barcode on someone's head, and they zoomed into the forehead, and it became like coordinates. And then they put these coordinates in, and those coordinates moved to Kazakhstan. So it's an interesting one. It took a little bit of a roundabout way to get there, but I think it probably is believable if that much effort was put into this teaser.
It's Kazakhstan.
Isn't that what I said?
You're saying Kazakhstan.
Oh, I thought I said Kazakhstan. My bad.
It's all good. Joey, can you tell me what Kazakhstan's number one export is?
I have no idea.
Potassium.
Oh, yeah? Bananas? So it all links together, guys.
Joey.
Battlefield 6 is now going to be a PlayStation exclusive, and you cannot play on the new PS5 controller. You have to play on the new PS5 Banana controller, fun fact, because the game is going to be set in... I was about to say the wrong one.
Go on.
Okay, anyway, Bananas, Battlefield 6, good stuff here.
Kazakhstan.
Potential location, a potential teaser here. March 23rd is where you can learn more about those exports, banana controllers, and good stuff like that. Call of Duty's Verdansk, the particular map that we see taking place here with Warzone, that one in particular might be gone here soon, John. We have an anniversary coming up, and according to a popular leaker, Modern Warzone, March 11th will be the day that we do see that new map coming to Call of Duty Warzone, apparently by a nuke to the current map. What do you think? You believe this one?
That a map's going to get nuked? Hello, Fortnite did it first.
Yeah, Fortnite did some funky stuff, actually, yeah.
Like,
they had the black hole and all that goodness.
They did. It was so weird. Couple years too late there.
Couple years too late. But if you're looking forward to that new, more like Cold War style map, or whatever kind of map changes they do make here, it sounds like March 11th is the day to look out for those. Okay, keep it moving, sir. It's been rumored for quite a while now. We've talked about it on the show once or twice. Now there's a little bit more proof popping up. The rumored Nintendo Switch Pro that we've been following for feels like a year and a half now at this point. According to Bloomberg, Nintendo is set to buy a number of rigid OLED display panels from Samsung as early as June this year for a new Switch model planned to drop later in the year as well. They're looking at a 7-inch screen for this one, similar to what we saw with the iPhone design, where you do see some of the edging disappearing on the screen and it becomes more of the actual screen itself. I think it's a good move by Nintendo. It's one of those things, like the Nintendo Switch is never where I'm going to buy these premier titles at. Like even a Call of Duty, like when a new Call of Duty comes out, if I want that high graphic fidelity, I'm going to look at a PC. If I'm a console gamer only, then I look at the Xbox Series X or maybe the PS5. I'm not going to go to a Nintendo Switch. And I really don't see Mario or Metroid or Zelda getting a ton of like high graphic fidelity. Like, don't get me wrong, the games look gorgeous, but they have their own like cartoony / brushed art style to them. And I think that's still going to stay the same. So yeah, it's going to be a nice screen. Do I think the Pro Edition is going to be necessary for me as a Nintendo fan? Personally, no. Do I think it'll sell well? Just look at Switch sales the last couple of months. They've done extremely well for 2 years now. So I do think it'll sell extremely well. I personally would rather stick with the mini or the original, but depending on the price, this could be the way to go for those more hardcore fans. Anything else to say here on Bloomberg, Nintendo, and OLED from Samsung?
Who knows? Maybe Nintendo will buy into the banana sidekick Joy-Cons or whatever they're called.
That would be interesting.
and then you can hold your new 7-inch switch screen between two banana controllers.
They will have to go talk to the overlord of Sony, who now owns the patent on banana controllers. A very high quality patent out there, by the way, guys. Everyone under the sun was going for that patent. But now Sony being the overlord of that one. I think we've tilted John for the whole show on the whole banana thing. Upcoming,
so tilted. So tilted.
The possible closing of the Microsoft ZeniMax deal, as we mentioned at the top of the show, according to the EU filing paperwork type of stuff, that deal should be closed tomorrow, pending the need for any changes. So if the EU says, hey, Microsoft, we don't like this deal, we need to see this from you, then that could be something that holds it off for a little bit longer. Or if the EU says, hey, this is not fair, this is a bad deal, we're not going to approve it, well, then it just ends right there as well. But we should hear some kind of ruling coming out tomorrow, and that's Friday, March 5th for the podcast listeners down the line. I hope it closes. I don't see why it wouldn't close in particular, especially given the moves that Tencent is making. But it is one of those things that a lot of players are waiting to see, well, are the games going to become exclusive, or do they just release Game Pass day one and they still come to PlayStation and whatever other platforms out there? And there's a lot of question marks around this, and I hope Microsoft does answer them as we get closer and once this deal finally finalizes. Okay, sir, let's hop over to League of Legends and wrap up today's show. We are just at the hour mark here, so we can wrap up with a couple previews for the matches to come. Kicking off with the LEC, John, how do our standings look, and what match are we looking forward to?
All right, so current standings, just real quick recap. Everyone's in a tie, it feels like. First place, Rogue and G2 Esports, 11-2. Third place, a tie between SK Gaming and Mad Lions, 8-5. In fifth place, Fnatic, all by themselves. Thanks for not being in a tie there, Fnatic. Excel, Misfits, and Schalke, 5-8, all find themselves in sixth place. Ninth place, Astralis, 3-10, and Team Vitality, well, they won 2 games. 10th place. We'll leave it there. So those are your standings here going into this weekend's matchups. Let me go ahead and filter this out here for you so you can see our matches coming up. G2 Esports and Rogue, Joey, that's going to have to be your big matchup, the clash of the current leaders, if you will, of the LEC. That's going to be a massive matchup there. What version of G2 are we going to see? We've seen them flutter from time to time. We've seen them be in the incredibly dominant team everyone expects them to be from time to time. This should be a big game for G2 Esports going up against Rogue. And who knows, maybe coming out of this weekend, we'll have one team and one team only in first place in the LEC.
Very possible, John, and this is definitely the highlight matchup of the week. I do think G2 comes out on top in this one, but Rogue is a great team. We saw a great matchup between these two before, a very hotly contested matchup where both can really fight head-to-head and go right to the final wire here. If one makes a mistake, you see the other quickly capitalize on it and vice versa. So a very top-level matchup to watch there. And then on day 2, I think you also focus on Rogue again here with Mad Lions. I think Rogue does walk away with this win. Mad Lions not really punching or roaring at the rate we saw last summer, but at the same point, they are a team to really keep an eye on. They're a young team in particular. Lots of young talent on there. That bot lane in particular is quite good. One to watch there. But I do think Rogue loses to G2 and then bounces back on day 2 against Mad Lions. But both those Rogue matches looking super spicy this week ahead. Over to North America and the LCS, where there's still arguments about imports here and there, and we'll keep you updated as more develops on that. But for now, the standings have Cloud9 sitting up on top with more than 9 wins, actually at 10-2. TSM in second place, tied with 100 Thieves, sealing their way up to the top at 8-4. Evil Geniuses continuing to plot their way into the playoffs, and so far looking good in fourth at 7-5, and tied with the North American non-imported roster of Dignitas at 7-5 as well, and Team Liquid slowly but surely getting it together at 7-5 too. Then we have over in 7th Immortals at 5-7, FlyQuest slightly below in 8th place at 4-8, and then Counter Logic Gaming and Golden Guardians both sitting at 2-10 at the bottom of the table this week. Moving forward to the schedule, John, is there a matchup in particular popping out to you in the LCS this week?
Let's get over here to the schedule.
Over here to the schedule.
See, this would be a fantastic week if Golden Guardians and CLG played against each other, because I feel like even when it's the 2 worst teams in the league going head-to-head, it somehow ends up being still good quality because they're on the same level, or it turns into a massive clown fiesta. It's still worth watching. It's almost like something so horrific you can't turn your eyes away from it. So it'd be kind of interesting there as well. So Joey, Team Liquid versus Cloud9. I think that's going to be a decent matchup once again. I do believe Team Liquid got the best of Cloud9. No, that was Was that TSM I was talking about, or was that Cloud9 a couple weeks ago? Ooh, see, now here's my thing. I do think they played recently. Now I have to scroll up. Yes, they did. Team Liquid did take that win. That was a bounce back game for Team Liquid. Team Liquid going back and forth. They were really struggling. They're still middle of the pack. They still need another statement win going up against a Cloud9 that's surging with 10 wins so far. Cloud9 is almost on cruise control with some of their matchups here. Team Liquid really trying to break that middle of the pack, really trying to make a name for themselves. Again, they have that strong roster with Core JJ and Jensen. They're a team that should be doing better than what they're doing right now. They beat Cloud9 once before a couple weeks ago. They're going to be looking to do it again. It's another big statement game for Team Liquid this weekend.
Absolutely. A couple other ones to put on your guys' radar. Tomorrow's matchups for Friday, TSM and Dignitas. This one not really on the Rift as much as off the Rift. We did see Reggie coming out, the owner of TSM, having a lot of back and forth as far as imports go, and then Dignitas jumping back out there as well, which Reggie did comment about Dignitas being a full NA roster and having the success they are. So a little bit of an off the Rift, on the Rift spicy matchup there. 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses should be another good one on that Friday. Over to Saturday, John, I believe this is where you mentioned C9 and Team Liquid. Definitely one to watch there. I would also throw in 100 Thieves and TSM. TSM finally getting their stuff together. 100 Thieves up toward the top of the table as well. Should be a good matchup. Over to Sunday, I think your best matchup here is probably going to be TSM and Cloud9. Again, one of those ones where Cloud9 is performing better than TSM on paper. They're looking quite good in the standings as well. But it's one of those legendary rivalries. TSM and Cloud9 have kind of always gone back and forth with one another. This is another opportunity to see a spicy matchup between both orgs. Yeah, and Cloud9 did take the earlier win here in the season, but this TSM team has really turned it around. Just scrolling through the past schedule here real quick, you can see TSM. We're talking 2-0, 3-0, 2-1 weeks. Like, TSM has come online. They're finally clicking together as a team. This is not the same TSM team that we saw in the first several weeks here in the LCS. They've really come together. Coach Bjergsen is really starting to have an impact with this roster. They're playing incredibly well. So who knows? Maybe this rivalry between TSM and Cloud9, even though the players have admitted that it's not so much between the players as it is the organizations and the fans because of that history, the players involved in that massive NA rivalry between the two teams, they're all retired and moved on to other teams, or they're just out of the game, out of the scene in total. But with TSM really having this resurgence here in the middle of the split, this matchup has the possibility to reignite, possibly rekindle some of that old school rivalry between Cloud9 and TSM. Definitely wanted to keep an eye on. So, guys, plenty of spicy matchups to look forward to this weekend. Again, the possibility of the Microsoft ZeniMax deal closing tomorrow as well. I don't know if we'll hear anything necessarily on that day, except maybe an official approval, but I do think we might get some stuff either next week or the following week if that deal does close. Some other things to keep an eye on, those Battlefield rumors in that potential video March 23rd. That good old Nintendo ordering those LED screens could become more popular throughout the week as well. Plenty of good stuff to follow, guys, but kick it off with that esports action tomorrow.
Well, Nation, that will do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you will get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you haven't already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of LvLUp Live. If you listen to the podcast version of the show, we are available on multiple platforms: Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. And while you're there, leave us a review. We love reviews, and we have multiple ways for you to provide us that critical feedback. Joey, what are some other ways LvLUp Nation can get a hold of us?
John, outside of those reviews, Level Up Nation, you can head on over to Twitter and find us at LvLUp Live. That is LvLUp Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media, and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, we would love it if you hit us up with a follow on Twitch as well. Maybe even a Twitch Prime sub if you're feeling generous. You can do so at twitch.tv/OTN Media. This show is broadcast Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as a number of other streams, game streams, talk shows, and more throughout the week.
All right, make sure you tune in this upcoming Monday. That's March the 8th, for those who don't have a calendar in front of you. For the latest and greatest of gaming and esports news, do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that follow and sub button here on Twitch to know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your viewing pleasures. We will catch you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online, and as always,
Level up.
Tempo. Stop for a minute, gotta find a tempo.